Happy Thursday, friends. I think we're going live here. There's a few things I want to share with you that are on my heart and things I've been thinking about, and I hope it will encourage you today. As most of you know, this is our first week back in school for the first time in almost 6 months, and my 6 children are all either at school or working. This is day 3 that I have had hours to be able to work or finish projects or get on there. So things are getting really happy here. I'm almost like scared to believe that this could be, you know, our new normal, or that everything's going to be okay and all of those things. And as we've been walking through this week, I'm sort of in disbelief and sort of super excited, scared that it's too good to be true, and all the things are happening. But in the middle of all that, I just felt something in my heart that I wanted to share with you all. And it goes along with everything we've been facing and everything we've been walking. Things are still in the world upside down and crazy, and it seems like we're getting some type of normal, but it's still the new normal that we don't want to call a new normal. I think we're missing a whole element of peace. I think there's so much challenge, so much. I think we're triggered. Like, as soon as the world almost looked normal, like something else awful happened, and that just kind of kept happening for 6 months. And we're on month 6, and we're kind of wondering where we're headed and where the goals are. And we're headed into an election, one that looks kind of sort of ugly. And if you're anything like me, you're hiding off of social media maybe a little bit, and yet that's your connection because you're supposed to stay home. So then you feel even more isolated, and the cycle just goes on and on and on. So if that's you, I'm with you, I'm feeling you. That's how I feel. Hey, Sister Dell, I know it has been crazy. Thank you for acknowledging that even you are going through crazy things. I feel like we're all feeling it. And I'm glad we can find each other here on social media. I'm glad we can relate in some ways. I'm glad there's still good things on social media. I am seeing amazing reports of, God is moving all across this country. He is still good in the middle of all this. I know He's not scared. I know He's not fallen off the throne. He's not wringing His hands, wondering what He's going to do next, or that He wasn't expecting certain things to be happening in this country. And I'm so grateful that He already has a plan and He already has a purpose, and He's using all of this for His glory. I'm thankful that He promises us that He is here in the middle of all of it, and we can find Him if we just look. So that kind of brings me to what I wanted to share with you all today, was just that feeling of, what do we do in the middle of all these challenges? And sorry, because I do have to have some coffee to keep going. So I'll tell you the stories that I have been able to witness over the past, well, couple years, but especially over the last couple weeks. So some of you might, well, I know you know, our Liam, who we adopted this year in February, along with his sister Kimber. Um, we had a lot of challenges that we went through with Liam. I guess I'll just say that. And he had a lot of hurt and a lot of trauma, and we have come so far. Basically, we have come so far. This time last year, I was in this office, and it was just a shell of a room. Matter of fact, I think Drew and I had just started gutting it and cleaning it out, and he took all the junk out of it for me. It was like a storage parts room. And it had been a rental home before that, and we had lived in it before that. So I had memories of actually being Drew's nursery. And the walls were painted a tan color, and I was just trying to update it and modernize it. We did not even have enough money for a can of paint at that time, and that's where I was so grateful. My daughter Brittany had lived here before we had taken it over as a storage space. And so she had some gorgeous gray paint that was down in the closet that she never finished using or she had leftovers. And I was able to grab those cans and find it and bring that upstairs and literally start painting. And I was literally painting by faith because I knew I needed a different office because I was kind of sort of fired from across the road at the shop. And basically, Tim had to find people to replace me because I had to be there at home or available for our 6 kids. So I was trying to find the new normal, even just working at the office across the road and helping over at the shop. Oh, Miss Betty, I see you on here. I literally come on here, try to come on during the day just so I can see if I can catch you on here. So, hello, and I miss you, and thank you for always encouraging me. And it was during this time with Liam that I was literally painting these walls by faith because um, things were really bad. I didn't even have the emotional energy, barely had the physical strength to come in here and put paint on these walls. Never mind imagine that it could ever be an office or a safe haven for me. And it was here while I was painting that we got many phone calls and messages. Liam was getting in trouble at school and it was getting worse and all the things. And finally, he had done so many naughty things, and we had tried emergency care. He was still in the foster care system, so we had to answer to our caseworkers and come up with a plan with all of them. And I am so grateful for them and their help. And they tried so hard to work with him and work with us. But Liam had to switch schools, and our church's school just didn't have the people necessary to keep Liam safe and keep him on the right track. We didn't have tons of counselors and all the things. So for the first time in my life, I had to put one of my babies in public school. And I love the teachers at the public school, oh my word, and I have such a respect for them. I was just always putting our kids on our church's school because that's where we had ever just gone. This was so uncharted for me, and the time and the effort and the energy it took to do something new and to put our child in public school in a different direction than the other 4 kids in the house. Abby was in college still at this point online, but the other 4 went a completely different direction, and Liam never knew that before being away from our family since we had gotten him. It was over 2 years. And public school tried to handle him as best they could. The principal was a beautiful, beautiful person. His teacher, incredible. I mean, God just paved the way step by step for Liam. And as much as it was a really hard and scary time, I'm so grateful that I got to be a part of that system and see all these little kids, like not even just a couple miles down the road. There are like 50 first graders that were in his class. I mean, he had 20 something in his class, and they had a second one in our tiny little school. And every day, those teachers, our heroes, go in there and show up and minister to these kids, pour into their lives day by day by day. So it was a really incredible experience. It was very difficult for Liam because he was used to a classroom of 5, and now he was in a classroom of 23. He had to ride a bus for the first time. He had counselors for the first time. He had people getting in his business for the first time. It was just so hard for him to be separating from our family. And this was all over the course of a month or two. Like I said, we tried and tried and tried, and really, public school was either the only option for him or some other alternatives that we just knew were not going to be good for him, and we didn't have a peace about it. So I'm so grateful for what he was able to go through. I hated to watch him go through it. It was very hard. Now, only because I'm on the other side and things are getting happy and we're settling and adjusting, and I'm just seeing him. Um, we have. I could say that we've come so far, but anyway, I just want to share the backstory of that because um, I I want to explain how in hard and challenging situations like we're facing here, how God can be in all of that. So in the middle of Liam's story, I have to parallel Mary's story, and I don't know how many of you know, but we've had Mary living with us for a little bit over a year, and I'm not sharing any of her story yet. I have started a blog about it, but she's gonna have to approve all of that because the journey and the story is hers. I hope to be able to share that with you in the next couple weeks. But I bring her up because at the same time, she has been facing completely, totally different set of challenging situations and overcoming those. So when I think about Liam and I think about Mary, and right about the same time, they're like going through all this stuff. And then my own personal life, and I know in all our other mamas and friends and all the things, there are a lot of challenges in front of us, and we're facing, hard situations. So let's reference Liam, where he's like having to be brave and having to be courageous. And I'll tell you the story about Mary had to be brave and courageous. And I don't know, for all of you to have to survive like 6 months home with your kids and try to pretend like everything's normal and try to go through stuff together with your family and try to find God in the middle of all that. It was really difficult. We had to be brave. We had to be courageous. So as Liam was getting ready to go back to our school, our principal was letting him come back to our church's school as long as he did not need any of the special help, as long as he could behave, as long as he had the parameters that he needed to. And he just went ahead and got ready, and you could tell he was getting nervous. And it's kind of triggering for him to have big feelings, and he would be a little bit spacey the weeks before school was starting. He couldn't hardly believe that he wasn't going to have to go to school at Glade Hill. He did love his teacher and the principal, and I mean, they just loved on him. I think he had a crush on the nurse, and that did help. But it was still really hard for him to be away from his family. He just loves his people. He loves his family, and he feels safe with his family, and he was not with his family. So the fact that he could have a second chance and come back to school was really incredible. So as we got ready for school to start, he got a school supply list just like my other kids, and we started having conversations just like the other kids. And all of a sudden, we weren't talking about the bus anymore. We weren't starting to talk about, him having a different lunch plan. And he got to pack his lunch with the other kids, and we pulled out his little box that he packs his own lunch just like the other kids. And little by little, like normal started coming back into his life. And you could see he was so happy. He was really having trouble processing those big emotions. It was almost like it was too good to believe. Kind of similar to what I'm feeling this week. And I want to share with you some of Mary's story, but I just can't. But she's living in this place right now, too good to believe. But all that to say, I'm just watching these parallels evolve. And so Liam, as he climbed in the car with everybody to go to school, well, our big fat transit van, to go to school with everyone, he was just so happy. And he was able to have brand new sneakers and all the things, when you get ready for school, just like the other kids. And it was like watching him redeem the second chance and watching him get a new beginning when he kind of sort of didn't deserve it, but he was getting it anyways, and he was just determined he was going to do it. And he was so scared he was going to screw it up, and he was so worried that he wouldn't be able to set the bar, he wouldn't be able to hit the bar, and we knew he could. It was not setting him up for failure. We knew it was in there. We knew he's come so far, and he just made some horrible choices, this time last year. And unfortunately, being in the system, it was just the way it had to go. It was just awful. So to see him change, I mean, his face just lit up when the school supply list had watercolor paints and a sketchbook for his second grade class. I mean, he was just beaming. And wouldn't you know, the first day of school, he got to use those watercolors in that sketchbook. I mean, his teacher is just perfect for him. She is soft spoken, but she's strong and kind. And the kids in the classroom, for the first time, Liam is the oldest one in his class. And that's never happened before. And even in our family, he's the baby. And so he's always has to work harder and measure up and do bigger things. And and everyone else is always bigger than him and has already done the things. But in this classroom this year, he's going to be the head honcho, and he's already offered to be the helper, and he's already a little bit taller, and he's already been exposed to the workload. So we are just like totally setting him up for success, even though the job is his to make the choices. But for sure, it's amazing to see. He's so excited. Like he walked right in and there were like all these Gideon Bibles like set out on the table, and the kids were allowed to sit wherever they wanted. They had their folders with their names on them. But his teacher explained like they were going to get into the word and they were going to be able to mark up their own Bible and make it for themselves and do all this stuff where he could actually own it and it could be his. And he just was so excited and felt so powerful. I felt so blessed to be able to walk him in that classroom and explain, even when he was scared, he still did it anyways. And I just kept thinking he's processing through these big emotions. And Mary, she had to do some huge things even this weekend that they were so hard and they were so big in her mind, and it was so hard to face, and she did it. Like she faced these big scary things. And I just think as parents, every day we either keep our kids home and do a big scary thing, or we send them out into the world and do a big scary thing. It's all so hard, and we have to be brave and we have to have courage. And I'm learning and I'm watching these people get the victory. I know I get the victory when I do it scared, when I do it afraid, and when I do it anyways. And I watched Liam do that. I mean, it was so hard for him. He was scared and afraid, and he did it anyways. And Mary, her situation, it was scary, and she did it scared, and she did it afraid, and she did it anyways. And this is where I'm getting really excited because I'm watching the people of God like face brave, hard, scary situations, and they're facing them with bravery and with courage because they know it's hard and they know it's scary, but they're doing it anyways. And this is the place that I just wanted to share with you. We went to church last night. We had just a prayer night. And so we showed up and we went there, and Pastor Phil just felt to exhort about Psalm 100. And so the kids were just coloring. They had brought some things to color and were just doing their own thing. And Liam could see his teacher behind us. He might have a little crush on her, but either way, he's just so excited and we're just going with it. And so he spotted her, and that was so cute. And he was just so excited and so peaceful and so happy. And we're all just there listening to the music and listening to Pastor Phil exhorting. And here in Psalm 100 literally talks about worshiping the Lord with gladness, coming before him with joyful songs, knowing that the Lord is God. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, enter into his courts with praise. We're his people, the sheep of his pasture. I mean, all this beautiful symbolism of who we are in the Lord. And I look over at Liam, and he is laughing, like he's just smiling so big. He's like laughing in spite of himself, like coloring on this page. And it wasn't anything special, just like all these different suns with crayons and all the things. And I said, "What is it? What is what's so funny, or why are you so happy?" And he just said, "I am just so blessed." And I'm like, "What did you say?" He's a 7-year-old boy. Like, I don't know that I've ever heard him say, like, "I'm so blessed." And I said, "What did you mean?" And he said, "I am so blessed. I'm so blessed because my teacher is here." And he was making this, coloring page for, he wanted to give it to her. But the joy on his face was just so genuine. And Liam was not smiling. He was not happy, for that first year, even more so, the anger and the rage that we saw even this time last year, literally getting kicked out of school, like not just our school, but public school. He got kicked out for like a week. And the rage and the anger and the things that he went through was something that I didn't ever think that he was going to recover from. And to watch him, just his little hands, just like singing songs, like worshiping the Lord, and then turning around and coloring this page, and just the joy and the smile on his face. And I thought he He did the scary things. He did the hard things. He was brave and courageous because he did it anyways. It was so hard for him to walk into that classroom. I bet he was a little bit triggered because he was very naughty when he was there last time, and I'm sure he made some pretty bad memories. Now, nobody talked about it, nobody brought up anything. We did let him know he was allowed to have another chance at the school as long as he could behave, and we were confident he could behave, and we tried to encourage him. But he was just so brave. It was so hard for him to do this thing and face this. And so the situation with Mary, I just can't wait to tell you about. I hope she lets me tell you because she has to look at what I wrote and make sure that's okay. It is her story. So I just have to tell you, she faced all these brave things and she did it anyway. She did it scared. She did it when it was uncomfortable. She did it when she was afraid, and she faced that thing head on. Even things that she had to dig out these ghosts from her past and like face this thing head on. And same thing with Liam. And same thing with me. Like when I come into my office and I'm just like, okay, I only have so much time. I have to hurry. I have to rush. And the kids are at home and I'm paying a babysitter and doing all the things. And that's not so. It's just not so. It's a new beginning. And the freedom that we find when we face those brave things, when we break through old ways of thinking, and when we break through old memories and old trauma and we face those things with courage. You can do it afraid and still be courageous. You can be afraid and still be brave. And that's where I'm sitting here going, when you break through, you earn your freedom. You get your freedom. Like that's the blessing of breaking through and facing those things, is that freedom is on the other side. I hope I'm saying that right because it's just so exciting to watch and see the smile on Mary's face, the freedom that she's walking in now, the things that she's accomplished have changed the course of her life forever, and she's free to figure out the next thing that God has for her. Liam is free to have a new beginning and start over. I'm free to figure out the next thing in the season that God has for me. And I know as we're facing this literally new season, September, and school beginning, and this last part of this year that no one could have predicted, we're moving forward and we're finding freedom if we so choose. So if we have survived 2020, if we've made it through this far, what are we going to make these last 4 months in this last season? What are we going to do with it? I mean, we have made it this far. We are a fierce people. We are ferocious. I'm sure there's more challenges coming, and all I'm asking you is how are you going to face them? What are you going to bring into this last quarter, this last season? You can be intentional about what you bring into the next season. And the challenge is mine for myself today. I'm asking myself, what mindsets and what habits, what triggers am I leaving behind? What am I going to face and say, no more, that's not a part of who I am? Or I'm choosing not to bring it into this next part, this next change of seasons. It's not coming into my fall. It's not coming into my breakthrough. My freedom is found in this next phase. And what that looks like is no baggage for me. That looks like freedom for me. That looks like hope for me. That looks like joy for me. And when we have perfect examples, I mean, I'm laughing when I think about Liam. Tim and I drove home from prayer last night, and we were just like, 1 year ago, we didn't even know if we were going to make it. We didn't even know if we were going to be able to hold on. I'm telling you truly, it was the hardest thing. We didn't know if we could keep our family together like that, and we didn't know what was going to happen to him and to the rest of us. 1 year ago, I was painting this office, and we didn't even know if we were going to be able to hang in there long enough to see him through to the other side. And this same little child sat next to me in church last night, smiling with pure joy, and just said, I am so blessed. I am so blessed because my teacher is here, because my life is so good. I mean, he's just so full of joy. He was unrecognizable last year, so full of rage. What 1 year can do, what 1 year can change. And to go from where we didn't think we could make it. And I wrote Mary in here like a year ago. It was a scary dream what she had to face. It was like facing some huge giants. And to walk with her through this past year, and to walk with her through what she faced this weekend. And she did it, and she faced it, and she accomplished it, and she finished it. And she's a different person because of it. I'm convinced it's changed the trajectory of her life because of that. 1 year. What 1 year can do for someone. 1 year of a pandemic, guys. Our whole nation got shut down, and we still are coming out on the other side. The whole globe was shut down, wasn't it? A global pandemic, isn't that what we call it? Our whole country was shut down. Work was shut down. We had to parent in ways we've never had to. We had to run our businesses in ways that we've never had to, and still God did. Matter of fact, I think God did more because we couldn't run to soccer games. We had family prayer instead. I mean, we couldn't go out and run and do all the crazy things. We had to parent and teach and preach and share from our computers at home. So we had each other. I know our family bonded in ways that we never could have. Was I happy about that? No. I mean, like, was I grateful that I had all my kids at home and that we were all safe and we were all in this? Yes. Was I glad that I had my kids with me? Yes. Did we make memories that were last a lifetime? Yes. Was it hard? Yeah. But anything worth it is going to be hard. And so I'm just so grateful that I can share this with you. I just want to encourage you to do the brave thing. And it's okay to be scared. I don't know what that lie is that we have to wait until we're not scared anymore to take on something new. Guys, if that was the case, we wouldn't get out of bed. I wouldn't. I get out of bed and there's like six little kids already like pouring cereal all over the place and it looks scary. I don't want to get out of bed. I do it anyways. I do it afraid. I do it scared. I do it anyways because that's what God tells us to do. And how many times? 365 times, 366 times it says, "Be not afraid." But you know what? You still got to do it. You still have to be of good courage. What did Jesus say? I have overcome the world. So I'm just trying to encourage you today. Yes, the world is still upside down, and yes, it's still sideways, but I am seeing God move in ways that I never thought would be possible. I am seeing people get breakthroughs that it was thought impossible. I mean, people that had been written off and stories that had been closed. I mean, chapters are being written now because God's people are doing the thing and they're doing it afraid. They're doing it anyways. And there are brave people out there, um, and they're probably afraid. But just in case those brave people are not afraid, I'll speak for myself. And every day I do hard and scary things just because I know it's what God has told me to do. And if He can be for us, who can be against us? So just let me encourage you today. Yes, it's hard, and yes, it might be scary, but just do it anyways and just go for it anyways. If you have the promise that He's always going to be with you, He will never leave you, He'll never forsake you. I am literally sitting in an office that I thought I was never going to be able to use because I was never going to be able to leave my home because my kids were always going to need me and be special needs and be in institutions, and we have these behavioral issues. Sorry, there's a bee flying all over the place. But I sit in this office today and I blog and I write and I encourage people and I'm living my dream because God did it. Because I did it anyways, because I did it scared. There were days I did not want to finish painting the office because I thought it was hopeless and I thought it was worthless. So just keep painting, guys. Just keep going. Just keep making a place. And if that's just surviving for the day and that's getting out of bed, y'all better celebrate. You deserve it. You're doing brave things in very scary times. And that's what God's people do. And I'm sure there's more coming that we're going to have to face, and it's going to be hard and scary. But let's just purpose in our hearts. We're going to do it anyways, and we will see the blessing of God in all of this and where we go. Sister Della, I'm seeing your comments. You said you haven't found my blog yet. I will post a link underneath the live feed where you can sign up. On the web, I'll send you my website, and there's a whole blog post tab, and then I send out a weekly email too. So I'll put that in the link in the comments. So if you want to sign up for that, you'll get a weekly email just with updates of what's going on with all the things we're doing and all the things going on. And the blog you're free to read. Once you find that tab, you just click on that tab, and everything I've ever blogged about. There's the recipes. There's everything about foster care. Not everything, like especially 6 main things that I wrote about for foster care, adoption, um, family projects, health hacks, life hacks, trips we've taken. There's a bunch of stuff on there. So feel free to go through all that. And I'll put it in the comments so you can just click through and have some fun with that. So, anyways, I thank you all for hanging in there with me. I did not plan on talking this long, this much, but I hope you're encouraged today. And if there's anything I can pray with you for, pray through you for, send me a message, and I'll see you on the other side. Have a great day.